Start.
Hello and welcome to New Wave Global, and you are watching Unraveled once again. But this is an emergency transmission. We are together trying to raise voice against the recent bans by the government of India that it has put on different Pakistani channels, YouTube channels, and the live streaming channels of regular Pakistani TV channels, which are live streaming on YouTube and using various other platforms. Some of the journalists have Instagram accounts, and their Instagram accounts and TikTok accounts have also been banned. We have invited I've invited Raza Ahmed Rooney, who is the editor-in-chief of Naya Daur and New Wave Global, and we also have a colleague from Naya Daur, Ali Zaidi, who is uh, who is representing Naya Daur, and Naya Daur has is part of that list of the longer list, which the channels which have been banned. Uh, this list that we have had is not exhaustive, I believe, because there are so many other Pakistani journalists whose channels have been banned, and they can't be seen by the Indian people right now. Uh, we're taking advantage of the fact that our channel can be seen in India. We are speaking to Indian people, and we are speaking to Pakistani people, and we are trying to trying to make sense of these senseless times. So, inviting you, Raza, to jump in and try to make sense that for me.
Thank you, Madhvi, for doing this. I think it is most unfortunate that this current crisis, the unfortunate and tragic Pahalgam attack, has been followed by two things. One is, of course, war hysteria. The way Indian mainstream media, some of the well-known channels, when well-known commentators and anchors have been calling for, fixing Pakistan, punishing Pakistan, eradicating Pakistan, and
Hmm.
then in this war hysteria, information or views different than what the Indian nationalist viewpoint demands are being muzzled. And yesterday we had a whole list, Marvi. You
Yes.
mentioned Geo, Dawn, others. Today we also got this from YouTube about Neador TV. And in the since the Pahalgam attack, we've been covering it non-stop, and Ali will tell you more. And we've been trying to bring out narratives about peace. We are saying use diplomacy. War is not the option. War
Hmm.
will cause harm to peoples on both sides of the border.
Yeah.
But despite that, because it's not jingoism of a particular kind, it has been banned. And then, Madhvi, look at the hypocrisy. Some of the Indian channels have been inviting the worst Pakistani commentators, full of hate, full
Yeah.
of anger, calling out Indians and using names for Hindus, etc. And they even give them money to bash India and Indians. And
It's
voices which
very,
are
yeah.
reasonable, they are being muzzled.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was like, Raza, you have mentioned something very, I mean, it's ridiculous because I used to appear in Indian channels regularly. This was prior to, I think, yeah, I can't say prior to 2008 because I have been appearing even after that. But I think prior to Pulwama and Uri attacks. So I used to appear. Never in my life have I ever received a cent, a penny from an Indian channel. But I now discover that these retired generals, you know, our retired generals used to appear in Indian channels. Now they don't, but there was a time when they used to appear, and even they used to get money from Indian channels. And these hateful creeps from Pakistan who nowadays appear, they get money from Indian channels. But anyway, that's besides this.
But Madhvi, one point before you invite Ali to speak. Well, the thing is that, there's a particular view of Pakistan and Pakistanis which is
Yeah, I
promoted.
Yeah,
That they all
that's
are jihadis, they
exactly.
all are religious bigots,
Hmm.
they all are wearing burqas or holding guns, and
Yeah.
that's the Pakistan they want to show to Indians. That's the
Exactly.
reason. Yeah.
Hold on to that point because I want you to come to that point later. But first, let me ask you, Ali, because why I'm asking this question is precisely I'm taking cue from Raza right now. That some of the, if you look at the list, uh, s- these are all, as we say in Urdu and Hindi, gada goda barabar. This, it doesn't make, this list doesn't make any sense. There are Pakistani um jingoists who have been jingoists for a long time, but now suddenly they are now good people. There are people who you don't consider peacemongers, but they're not jingoist as well. And then there are people who are very, very um, prominently peacemongers, like Naya Daur. Now this list is completely senseless, doesn't give, makes you bonkers, go bonkers. Why do you think was Naya Daur included in this list? What has YouTube informed you something, or do you have a hunch on what program, on what clip you were given this honor, Ali?
Yes, so YouTube did send us an email which informed us that Pakistan, among other YouTube channels, Naya.tv is also one of the channels that has been banned from viewing in India. And the email says that they have received an instruction from the government of India, which says that this channel, the content on this channel could create some law and order situation in India, and therefore they have been told that this channel has to be banned. You can see this email right here. As Raza must have shown it to you on his by sharing his screen. So this is what we've been told, and I don't know what we've done to um,
Deserve
hug them
this.
so much.
This is
They
bizarre.
hug them so
But
much that they think that we can
yeah,
create some law and order situation because roughly 10 to 20% of our traffic is from India, generally, and especially Raza's show is viewed by Indians, and they comment on our channel as well. And I mean, there are some abusive comments, but most of the people who are commenting on the channel are quite civil. They ask serious questions. Sometimes they don't like what the guests are saying, and they do get a bit angry. But at the same time, they are normally they are very civil, and the abusive comments obviously get blocked. But this is something that we have been trying to create this dialogue, and we have invited people like Ajaz Haider, who is a strategist, but at the same time, we've also asked. Dr. Aisha Siddiqa to appear on the channel and on Raza's show Khabar Se Aage, where she has talked about this conflict, and I don't see why would anyone consider her
yeah,
views jingoistic or anything. So
he is being published by Indian publications.
she is being published by Indian publications. So I don't think that there was anything in particular that Niyador, but you see, when Shoaib Akhtar's channel is blocked from viewing in India, and
Cricket,
he hasn't
Uzair
posted.
cricket or something.
Yeah, Shoaib Akhtar's channel. So Shoaib Akhtar hasn't posted a video in about a month or so, and he has said nothing against India. In fact, he is always praising Indian cricketers because maybe he has a lot of following in India, and maybe he wants to protect his views as well. But the thing is that he got banned. So I don't think that I think most of it is just arbitrary, or they just saw which channels are being viewed in India and are run from Pakistan, and they just decided to block them.
Bharvi, sorry, Ali, I didn't mean to cut you.
No, I'm done.
Bharvi, the irony is that, you and I and many of us who are involved in this work have been called as Indian agents. If
Yeah.
you look at Twitter, Facebook posts, I mean, with you to have been hearing this for the last 15, 20 years, all the attacks and all the violent threats. And similarly, people who really come to our channel, are seen as hate mongers, and somebody's Arvind is commenting that Ijaz Haider is not in this category. Ijaz Haider is a He's a Pakistani nationalist, like most Pakistani commentators are, but he never calls for annihilating India or attacking India. And Marvi, ironically, Nayad or TV, if you remember this gentleman, Major Adil Raja, who's now in the UK and
Hmm.
now being cited by the Indian media as this inside source of Pakistan Army and General Asim Muni's downfall. So he openly accused on Twitter timeline that I was taking Indian money in America to run Nayador TV. Then I posted that I will go to court. So I even called a barrister in UK. I he asked me to say that first he should take his words back before we do any proceeding. So I
Hmm.
actually tried to do that. So that is the biggest ironies that Indian government or Indian whoever decides these things. I'm sure the information ministry or whoever.
Yeah.
But it's really unfortunate.
It is, and I think it's ridiculous. I think some of the Indians I know would also be laughing or maybe crying. I don't know, but I don't think this doesn't make any sense to an average human mind. But what I want to discuss with you, Raza, is, and both of you are invited to, if you have anything to say on this, are the governments all in all in allowing or disallowing content from these transnational platforms? YouTube is a transnational platform. Why did YouTube decide to kneel down before the Indian government without asking any probing questions? If India claims that these channels, this content, they're broadcasting a content that is harmful for Indian internal peace or security, can't YouTube ask what content, how it is harmful? Can't this, we know the days when we used to challenge. Can't you, Nayad, or any of the people, any of the channels who have been blocked by Indian government, can't they contest this with YouTube? Aren't there any procedures, mechanisms within these platforms to challenge the governments, to give at least some tough time, some accountability to the governments? This way, though, every any government would just start banning on any dissenting voice anywhere in the world. Uh, what is your experience? Do you think you are going to challenge this? Are there any procedures, mechanisms in the on the platform that you can use to challenge this?
Batao Ali. So what are
Okay,
the
uh, yeah, I want to come to that, but first I want to respond to Arvind Chauhan's comment where he said that Ajaz Haider and Abdullah Gul have appeared on Niyad TV and therefore they have to be banned. In that case, everything has to be banned on YouTube from coming from India. And assuming that a Pakistani channel will not be inviting people who will give some trying to balance the kind of hate mongering that is coming from India, and we are seeing that all the time on Twitter and everywhere else. I have come across some fake news as well that I have gathered, and I'm going to do a piece on that. So that has been peddled from Indian media and mainstream Indian media. So I don't think that it is fair to demand that Nayador should not invite people like Ejaz Heather. On the other hand, what you said, you see, if you see the email,
Plus,
it
plus,
does say that Pakistan.
Ali, sorry, before you start the next point, I just want to, whoever says Ejaz Heather, and you can't put both these names in one sentence. They are different. Ejaz Heather is not a warmonger or a. I mean, there is absolutely no comparison between Abdullah Gul and Ejaz Heather.
Acha, Marvi,
Anyone who has read all both these people and still mingles them together, I can't
uh,
say anything about the basic IQ level. Sorry.
Marvi, sorry, I'm interrupting. I think if this reasoning has to apply, then most Indian TV channels need to be banned across the
Yeah,
world because they're calling for genocide. They are
absolutely.
saying bomb all Muslims. Some of them, not all. Some of the commentators bomb all Muslims, bomb all Kashmiris, block the waters for and starve the 250 million Pakistanis to death like genocide. That's
Not
collective
just that.
punishment.
Not exactly, not just that. This has been happening for last couple of few days after the Pahalgam attack. But before that, we have seen the similar kind of jingoism against Bangladeshis.
Ah,
Um,
exactly.
we have seen the similar kind of jingoism against Canadians. The Sikh leaders in Canada, of course, there's pro Khalistan separatists, and we see the similar kind of jingoism in not jingoism. We see similar kind of criticism against the Baloch separatists in Pakistan. But if we compare the mainstream broadcast channels in both the countries, India is way ahead of us in hatred and very, very senseless. I I just have no
Unethical.
words. I have no words, Raza. I'm short of words to express what Indian channels have been doing.
No,
Um,
I mean, see, when you want to starve 250 million people, it under international human rights law, it is genocide. Okay, even if we assume that Pakistanis were involved in the Pahalgam attack, even if you assume that Lashkar-e-Taiba has a new name and they went and they attacked, how can you punish the rest of the entire country and its population? It's a policy by the state or by the government. Assume it's the Pakistani establishment for a minute. That's the argument that is being projected in India. Would you punish the people? Ordinary poor people, small farmers, struggling labor, working class, for the follies of those in power? No, that is simply not on, and that is what we've been highlighting, Marvi. We've been trying to, and at the same time, because I do this show almost every day, at the end of every show, we call for peace. We say, let dialogue happen, let diplomacy happen, and Pakistan should change its course. Pakistan should revise its wrong policies. We don't. I mean, we are no apologists for our government. Unlike most Indians who at the moment are just parroting what is being handed down by their MEA or whichever ministry is involved. I mean, they only take that view. But anyway, Marvi, let me ask you a question here, because you have also, you were part of this group. The print published a story where apparently of women journalists, and then we have seen, and in short, there was a breakdown of communication. People fought with each other, and you've also been, you used to be going to India a lot during SAFMA, when SAFMA was active and alive, and other parts. But what have you seen changing in the last 10, 15 years? Earlier, I remember even after Bombay attacks, there was dialogue. There was dialogue with the Congress government, Indian journalists. We used to go, they used to come. We used to participate in TV panels. I used to write regularly in India every week. And I would also invite writers from India to write every week. There seems to be a total breakdown. What has happened? Just sum it up for our viewers. And
Raza, it's a very important question, but a very difficult question to answer because I just don't know how to articulate it. But I have so many friends in India. Uh, you know uh, because I have been, as you know, I've been part of this Pakistan India People's Forum for ages. For a million years I've been part of this track 2 community, and track 3, track 2.5. So many years. I just have, like 30 years. It was 30 years ago when I was part of WIPSA, Women's Initiative of Peace in South Asia, which was initiated by Asma Jahangir Hina and Begum Said Hamid on that side, and so many, Nimala Deshpande. So, and then Pakistan India People Forum, and then World Social Forum, and we so much of camaraderie, so many friendships. We have seen people from, I think I've grown up with it. It seems like we have grown up together now because we have been together, we have been communicating for so long. 30 years is not a small,
Hmm.
a short period of time. So, but over the, like, it started happening, it started changing in 2008. That was the watershed moment. Before, after that, we kept communicating, but there was a sense of betrayal, After Kargil, it was changing, but then there was a lot of bonhomie as well during the Vajpayee's government, and here it was um, first it was Nawaz Sharif and then Musharraf. So this bonhomie continued during Musharraf, and when Agra summit happened, 2004-5, it was at the peak, and then we all saw those Aman ki Asha kind of years. Despite 2008, we kept communicating, but something had changed. After Pulwama, although things very rapidly changed. I would say after this BJP's government in 2014. After that, things had started changing. In 2016, Pulwama, Uri, etc., these were happening, and then surgical strikes. Things were never same after that. And now this attack, I think this attack has done an irreparable damage. I'm saying irreparable because we are still passing through those that trauma right now. We means journalists of both the countries who have been communicating with each other. So we are trying to wade through the time. We are trying to swim through these troubled waters and come out, emerge unscathed. We will try to emerge unscathed. In Psalm, since you mentioned Psalm. I don't want to go into the detail what happened because I don't want the people who didn't know. I don't want them to know. So I would just suffice it to say that we have that moment has passed. We are together again. We have started communicating once again, and we that group will be the same again very soon. I hope. I have, I'm a mad, crazy optimist. Call me crazy, but I'm that kind of crazy, and I hope that we will be together. But this 22nd April attack has played with us our sensibilities in a way that I have never seen before. We uh, Indian side accusing Pakistan of orchestrating this, Pakistani side accusing India of false flag operation. Both of these things are terrible. Both of these parties are doing these things, the leveling these allegations without an iota of evidence. Both sides. Pakistanis can say, "Oh, we started because in reaction to India," which is true. I mean, at the outset, Pakistanis were just shocked. They were just expressing solidarity. They were expressing condemnation. They were, I saw a lot of condemnations in the first 1-2 hours. But when look at the Indian media, what Indian media started doing. When that started happening, then Pakistanis, I think the false flag operation narrative started next day or two days after the attack. First 2 days we were also in shock. So both the parties need to just step back, and I'm not talking about the governments. I think journalists, and
Yeah,
especially those
that's that's my concern. Civil
especially those
society
who have
and
considered
journalists.
themselves
Huh.
the constituency for peace. I know constituency of peace has shrunken beyond
Hmm.
any imagination now, especially in India. But okay, no peace constituency, constituency for peaceful coexistence. There's a constituency of war. There's a constituency of toxic masculine kind of jingoism. Okay, it's there. It is increasing. It has increased so much that we couldn't imagine even a year ago. But there is a constituency for normal peaceful coexistence. No dosti, no nothing, we can't be friends, okay, I'll give you that, but peaceful coexistence, and holding our governments, our respective governments, accountable. I will now I'll shut up now, but and I want to involve both of you in this discussion. And I don't want to sound like all three of us, since we are Pakistanis, we have ganged up on India. So I will do a little devil's advocacy, Raza and Ali. You people, both the three of us, we are very outraged against these bans that Indian government has
Hmm.
put on Pakistani channels. But most Pakistanis are using X and accessing YouTube on VPN. The governments on both sides are not very friendly to people's freedom of expression. What would you say about that? What about Pakistani government? Naya Daur, if I'm not wrong, has been shut down by Pakistani government a lot of times, and you always, I see you walking on eggshells.
Yeah,
Yes, this is
but
true.
Karo Ali.
This,
Yeah.
this is true, Mavi, but at the same time, I don't think that just because people in Pakistan get banned for what they say on Twitter or YouTube, that is justifiable for India as well, that they should also shut us down. At the same time, I also think that this has nothing to do with the repression that governments all over the world, even UK UK, Europe, even America, which is considered the bastion of free speech, enshrined in the Second Amendment. I think in the First Amendment, and I think that this is not something unique to Pakistan or India, but there is big tech is actually siding with India here, because we see that Pakistan, for example, you just mentioned Pakistani state banning Pakistan, blocking Pakistanis from viewing or accessing Twitter from Pakistan, but at the same time, we see that we use VPNs. So Pakistani government hasn't been able to block those accounts that it finds troublesome. At the same time, India just wrote to YouTube and told them that these people can create law and order situation in India, and YouTube just rolled over. So I think this is something that that has come as a shock to me, because in Pakistan we've been seeing this trend for quite some time, and we all have VPNs to access blocked content, including Indian websites. And India also blocks Pakistani websites from viewing. India has blocked Pakistani YouTube channels for the first time, but it has blocked Pakistani websites in the past. Just like Pakistan, India has shut down internet access in various parts of India. In fact, a report that Rabia just cited on a show with on Neador, she told us that according to the most reliable reports, Indian government has shut down internet in parts of India more than Pakistan has. So this is not something that I mean,
I
neither is justifiable. What I'm saying is that just because Pakistani government is authoritative, it is oppressive, and Pakistani people are used to living under oppression, it doesn't give India the right, which calls itself the greatest democracy, the biggest democracy in the world, to just ban people arbitrarily. For example, you just mentioned that Pakistani government banned uh, Naya Daur because Pakistan's state narrative wasn't being told on Naya Daur. We don't parrot the line that the state gives us or gives the legacy media. But Naya Daur has always spoken up for Pashtun Tahfuz movement, for example. Naya Daur has always spoken up for the missing persons. Naya Daur has always spoken up for Baloch people's rights. We have spoken up for Maharang Baloch when she was incarcerated, when she was even now she's in jail, and we have been constantly. We have talked about Hidayatul Rahman in Gwadar. We have talked about these canals that have become a problem between Pakistan, Punjab, and Sindh province right now. We have always taken a line which is not really what the state wants us to take. And even in this case, if we invite someone like Dr. Aisha Siddiqa, who has been writing in the print, as you just mentioned, so I don't see us being. I agree. We are not completely. We're not some tree or some nadia or some pahad who has no feelings whatsoever. We are humans, and we sometimes can be nationalistic in what we are saying, but we are not doing the kind of propaganda that we see on legacy media all the time from both countries. I'm not just singling out India here. So I don't think that Naya Daur should have been banned if there was some criteria. If the very
Yeah,
arbitrariness, as Arnab says, the sheer unpredictability of the move, this is what has shocked us.
yeah, and so there are two things. One is, no, nothing justifies this, and my question didn't mean that India's action is justified, right? Uh, what I wanted to say was that both the governments keep doing this with their own citizens, and if India's some of India's channels are banned in Pakistan, only then Indian journalists are outraged. Now, some of Pakistani channels are banned by India. We are quite outraged on our side. But this has been happening for quite long. There are so many YouTube channels, by Pakistani, hosted by Pakistanis, owned by Pakistanis, Pakistani journalists and influencers that have been banned by Pakistani government. uh, Pakistani government approached YouTube and did that, and YouTube once again, without any accountability, without any counter questioning anything, just bowed down before the government. Same has been happening in India, but in India we see, since the democracy is far more stable than it is in Pakistan. The institutions, an institution doesn't mean army or parliament. Institution means the social institutions are far stronger than they are in Pakistan. The resistance is, for example, news laundry, for example, the news minute, for example, the Kunal Kamra, the recent example, you know, political dissent, and Kunal Kamra's political and artistic dissent. But their channels have not been blocked. Their channels have not been banned by Indian government. Indian government
But
cannot.
Marvi, Kunal Kamra has been
Naya Daur,
banned
on the
from
other hand, was
traveling in
blocked by
India.
Pakistani government.
No airline can allow give ticket, sell a ticket to Kunal Kamra in India. And,
अच्छा,
these
Has
मैं वो
all
भी
these
जानता हूँ.
airlines,
social
because I follow
has a
Kunal
social
Kamra. I love
jingoism.
Kunal Kamra's
As a
work, so
social
I've
jingoism,
been following
what
this.
Indian society is doing to dissent, that is something else. I'm talking about the government banning your right to say, your right to express. Government has not banned Kunal Kamra's channel. Government in Pakistan had banned Naya Daur at one time. Government had banned a couple of other, I don't want to take names, but that other channels have been banned by Pakistani government. So what I want to say right now, Raza and Ali, is that I think journalists from both the countries should come together and say no to this kind of thing and approach YouTube together, because and YouTube and other platforms like TikTok and this Instagram need to be told that you have to say something, ask something with whenever any government approaches you, you have to give a platform to the victim channel, to
Uh,
the yeah.
Marvi, I just want to add one point. I know you have to close the show. I think there are two things. I think and I want to link it to what you were saying earlier about how things have changed
Hmm,
and changing. See, for a lot of people, civil society in Pakistan, Democrats, constitutionalists,
hmm,
India was always the example. India had a secular constitution. It was a secular republic. Despite all their problems, Indira's emergency, it had a stable, democratic, inclusive system, relatively better to minorities than the brutal treatment in Pakistan. But in the last 10, 15 years, that particular thing has been fading out. And it
hmm,
is very unfortunate because we are seeing that with, Femina Riaz's famous poem, कि तुम बिल्कुल हम जैसे निकले,
hmm,
अब तक कहाँ छुपे थे भाई? Or this is what is happening. Whether it's banning of these channels, whether it's the treatment given out to journalists, civil society activists like Titsa and others, we one can one can investigate things, one can disagree with that, but putting all these cases and clampdowns, Siddharth at the Wire has faced FIRs, and all of these things are very tragic, unfortunately. And for that, to me, that's a larger tragedy of South Asia. For
yeah.
Bangladesh and Pakistan,
Hmm,
India was this model.
hmm,
And that is why when we are talking, I mean, honestly, as you rightly said, whatever India does to its people, it's their problem. They can handle it, they can resist it, and I'm sure they will fight it because India has a long history of democratic
hmm,
engagement, and the institutions are stronger. But wo khud kar lenge. That's their headache. The reason we mention that is that a model that we thought was achievable after 1947, after the British left, that today is endangered.
hmm,
And that is why this latest step, and Pakistan though is a a den of censorship. I mean, they tried to censor Jinnah's 11th August speech in 1947, if you remember, Marvi. They
Hmm.
issued a press advisory कि ये कहीं छापनी नहीं है. At that time, Dawn and the Hindu published that speech, and that's why we have some record. Even if you remember Murtaza Tholangi, when he was heading the radio, he was
Hmm.
trying to find the recording of the speech. He could not find it. They had removed it from the archives.
Yeah.
So such deep censorship. So
Hmm.
we should तो I mean हमारे से तो ना ही कोई compare करे. But having said that, I think for it doesn't behove India, which has a reputation, a global reputation, which is a very big, diverse country. Parts of it are also, fragile, conflict-ridden. For it to pursue these policies is unfortunately going to be a problem. So anyway, I
I
know
think
you.
we need to close the discussion, but I think I will call upon the journalists from both the countries once again to come together. These are the times, especially those who want to sail a peaceful journey with two nuclear neighbors, uh, uh, being alive. So, being alive, being safe needs to be our goal, and for
Mm,
that we have to peacefully coexist, and for that I think journalists need to come together and raise voice together for all kinds of freedoms, especially the freedom of information and freedom of expression. Thank you very much for joining us. If you like our discussion, please do share, like, and subscribe to New Wave Global. Leave a comment and we will answer. Stay tuned and stay aware, stay informed, and stay dissenter. Thank you. Have a good one.